Hey guys, my name is Ray Ann and I'm one of the co-founders of the Amplify Planner, and today I'm going to be doing our pen test. You've been asking for it, and so I've got a ton of pens off camera here that you can't see that I'm going to go through. So we'll go through everything from felt to ballpoint, rollerball, and gel pen. And then I also have a couple of fun pens to go through as well. So I'm really just gonna jump right into this. I'm gonna use these back pages first, or back dot grid. And a quick note about the paper, if you don't already know, it is an 80-pound bright white. So it's nice and thick, it's sturdy, and just about nothing bleeds through it except for, of course, Sharpies and the fun pens that we'll get to. So let's start with a couple of them, and then I'm also, towards the end, I'm gonna show you with a couple of our layouts where we have our freedom boxes. I wanna show you how some of the pens work on these gray spaces. So let's first start with a gel pen. This one is the Papermate InkJoy. I know a lot of people use this one, and I'm gonna flip this guy over, but, ooh, there we go. Just gonna write. Don't mind my handwriting. It's not the greatest. But yeah, it shows up really well. I can test it for any smearing. It doesn't smear. And then let me just flip this over. You can see that there's no bleed through. I won't flip over every single time. That's gonna get really annoying. But there's that one. Next, we've got the Pilot FriXion. And I wanna show you with this one, I'll also erase part of it. So I'm not always a fan of how these write since it is erasable, so it kind of like cuts out here and there, but let me erase some of this so you can see. I mean, it erases about as you would expect it. There's generally a little bit of ghosting, but it's really nice. This is the Uni-ball Signo, so this one should write really nice. Again, no bleed, terrible handwriting, all those fun things, no smear. Sharpie S gel. I really like the grip on this one. It's super like ergonomical, and I just like the way that it feels. So that one's nice. It shows up a little darker, no smearing. And again, I'll just kind of show you the back of this. Nothing has bled through. Let's see. Yeah, there's obviously, if you're holding a single page, I don't know if you can see this up to the light, you can slightly see the ink through it, but generally you're not going to be viewing a single page of your planner like that. This is the Tool. Same thing. No smear. These are pretty nice. This is the Hi-Tec-C. There we go. Much finer point. It almost writes like, it feels like a pencil to me. But yeah, no bleed through, no smear. This is a favorite of mine, and I know most people. Pilot G2. A very fine point, but yeah, again, it smears a little bit. These generally do for me, no matter what paper I'm writing on. You can kind of see a little bit the Pilot smeared a tiny bit if I touched it right away, but if you give it a second, you should be good to go. I really like this one, Pilot Juice, and this fun little clippy that I learned from Chelsea. She likes all of the thin pens. I don't mind them. I like a 0.7 though. So yeah, it smears just a little baby bit, but otherwise, no bleeding, none of that. Okay, we've got a few more. EnerGel, a lot of people requested this one. I've actually been using a couple of these in the blue. Yeah, not bad. Obviously with a lot of these gels, you want to give it a couple seconds so that it doesn't smear. But I'm sure you know that. And then we've got the Uni-ball Signo. I thought I already did this one. Maybe I didn't. We'll do it again. Pretty sure I did. I did. See that? This is the life of a blonde. Anyway. And then the last gel is the Zebra Sarasa. A lot of people have been asking for this one as well. This is a 0.3, but yeah, writes really well. no smearing. And that's about it for our gel pens. We do have one Rollerball that I'm going to use, and this is the Pilot Precise V5 RT. That sounds like some fancy like car or something. The names that they come up with for these pens. That looks like a U. Like I said, don't pay attention to the handwriting. It's fine. I was worried that was gonna smear, but it didn't. That dried really nice and fast. It wrote really well. It shows up pretty dark. I like it. I haven't showed you this for a couple of minutes. Let's just look through. On the bleed, no bleed, which is fantastic. All right, let's move on to a couple of ballpoints. So one of my favorite pens to plan with is just a standard Bic pen. It's my favorite. I don't know why. You would think I would like it more. But I mean, this definitely is not going to bleed through, but I'll show you how it shows up and writes. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Obviously no bleed stuff, no smearing, but yeah, it's one of my favorites. I just like how smooth they write. This is a new one that I just discovered too by Zebra, and it's a 0.7, but it feels thinner sometimes. It almost writes like a pen, but this is another ballpoint, so it's the Zebra BP. It's interesting because it looks like it might be kind of more of a cheapy pen, but it has a decent amount of weight to it for such a small pen, so it feels like a little fancy. But I generally have this one in my wallet. I carry it with me everywhere. It's just a nice pen to have for whatever you're using it for, and then of course for planning. Okie doke. Let's go to this Paper Mate. Our first blue. Yeah. And that's one thing too, though, I feel like with a lot of like ballpoints and certain ones is it will cut out, as you know. Same thing kind of like with these FriXions. But yeah, it does smear. Let's do that again. I wonder how quickly it smears. Okay, like right away. Let's give it a couple seconds. I know sometimes these take a little bit to dry, but this is the Paper Mate Profile. I want to give it a couple more seconds. Maybe blow on it. Yeah, these tend to be a little more smeary, so give that one a little bit of extra time, or this is going to happen like right away and you'll be a sad, sad panda. This is the Pentel Color Pen. It's in a fine point. And let's see here. This is our first felt. So it's thicker. I mean, I know it's a fine point, but it's a thicker stroke for sure. Definitely feels more like a marker than anything. I mean, it is a felt point, but I'm curious if this one might bleed through a little bit, and it doesn't. And it's not like the juiciest pen, but it's a little. It's got a little bit. Let me see. Yeah. So that's nice. If you want a thicker, like more bold line or color, then that one would be really great too, because it's not going to bleed through on that page. Got a few more felts. So this is also a fine. And I do have a couple more that are going to be thicker felt and just like fun ones that probably will bleed, but we'll see. So this is the Faber-Castell. Ooh. So this one, not as thick of a stroke as the Pentel, and it actually dries a little bit lighter, but I like it because these aren't gonna like, you know, smear. It just kind of seeps right into that paper. But yeah, no bleeding. This paper's nice. Okay, let's do a couple more. Another one of my favorites. I'm like more of that person, like I like the way a pen feels. So yeah, anything that has like that ergonomic feel, kind of like this Sharpie pen, or like that has like a texture to it, is like my favorite. So I have these. These are the Stabilo. Let's see. And I like them because with the felt, you know, it writes like a marker, and it's definitely like a bold color. And yeah, no bleed through. You still get that nice bold color there. no smearing, none of that. But yeah, these are just fun. I could just like sit and like roll it in my hand. Okay. Pilot Razor Point. This should be fun. I like that this is glittery. Ooh, see? It's because of the way that I write that sometimes things, I tend to write like on the side of the pen than like up and down, and especially with felts that can be a problem. So yeah, this one I think it's running out just a little bit, but again, it's pretty similar to the other felts. Just nice bold color, writes well, no bleed. And then we got the Staedtler, the Tripless fineliner. This is another one of my favorites, and especially because of the way that it feels, since it's like that triangle shape. I always spell this wrong. So, and I probably said it wrong. Okay, so this one, I prefer the way that these write, just in general, but it, you know, this is the dry safe one, so, I mean, there should be no smearing. But yeah, I mean, no smear, bold color, no bleed. Yeah, let's move on to a couple more. So a couple people requested the Le Pen. I actually haven't written or drawn with this one before. So let's see. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. It's like slightly juicy. It leaves some good color. No smearing. It goes like straight into the page. No bleed. Yeah. Ooh. I like that one. I might have to steal this from Chelsea. Don't tell her. A couple more. Then another requested one was the Micron. And I haven't written with these either. I'm definitely a creature of habit when it comes to my pens. So yeah, this is a thinner one. Chelsea really likes the thin pens. But yeah, it writes pretty much the same. No bleed, no smear. It's a little lighter, obviously, because it is a fine point. And then my other favorite pen, so my favorite is a Bic or like these Sharpie pens. I love these things. And so this is what I use just about every single day to plan in my planner. So I just love the way that they write. It's like super fluid. It leaves some nice, you know, that nice color. It's not like really like faded out. And there's no bleed. Because I'm not like a light writer. I like get into the writing, so I like that these don't bleed because regular Sharpies will, which is what I'm gonna go to next. So these are all the pens that I just tested. If you can even read that, I don't have the best handwriting. So yeah, none of these bleed as far as, you know, the felt, the ballpoint, the rollerballs, and the gel pens. None of that, but these next fun pens most likely will. So I'm going to show you a couple of different Sharpies. So this is just the Sharpie fine point. This one might not, but let's see. I'm going to do this up here so you can see the difference. I like the way these write though, but yeah, they tend to bleed. I mean, it just is what it is. Yep, it bleeds a bit. Typical. That's what you'd expect. So let me go up a little bit so you can see, especially where I've like left my hand for a couple seconds or dotted something. Yeah, definitely gonna bleed through with anything like this, so know that ahead of time. It's just what Sharpies do. So that was the fine point. Let's next do just a regular Sharpie permanent marker. This is for sure gonna go through. Let me see here. Yeah, let's take a look. Definite bleed, which we expect. So yeah, it will bleed through. So if you're doing any, obviously like decorating on the pages, then I wouldn't be outlining or decorating if there's something important on that other side. If it's maybe like your weekly notes page and you don't care, that might be a good place to use them, but these will bleed through. Let's go to this one. I don't think this one will. Jelly Roll. This brings me back to like 8th grade. I was telling Chelsea, I'm sure every girl at that time, I bought like a million gel pens and I would always sit in class and like color my nails. It's like surprising that I learned anything. But I just love these because they're fun. They write super fun, and of course there's glitter. I don't think it's gonna bleed. Yeah, it shouldn't. I mean, you can kind of see a bit of ghosting just a little bit, but obviously these two for sure bled. So this would be a nice one to kind of decorate with and have fun with. Let's see, this is a Tombow, and I can't write with these to save my life. So yeah, this is their calligraphy pen, but this is probably gonna go through. I'll do a couple of like thicker strokes like this, just so you can kind of see it, and I don't know how to do calligraphy, so I like if I do little light ones and like thicker ones. I do like the way these write, but I don't even know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's nice because you see a little bit of ghosting with this as well, kind of like the jelly roll, but it doesn't bleed. So if you want to get all fancy with it on this one, you can. If it's a fresh one, it's probably going to be a little more juicy, so there could be a potential it might bleed a tiny, look at that, I got it in my hand, a tiny baby bit, but I would say right now it's probably not going to bleed through. Then we've also got a couple of the midliners. So this is kind of like another calligraphy slash brush pen if you know what you're doing. Sure don't. I don't know how to write with these things. My cursive is not good. It's not good. So we're gonna do another similar thing where I go light and then I'll go heavy. Maybe I'll do like one more heavy swoop. But no bleed. Yay! So these are fun to decorate with too. I just love the way that they write. It's like you're like an artist, but of course not me. Other people maybe that know what they're doing. I use these to plan every day, and I will show you on these back pages, and then I'm also going to show you on a couple of the Freedom boxes. So I've got like a chartreuse color, and I don't know what they call this color. Anyway, I love these. If you haven't used these are the zebra midliners, and they're double-sided. So you've got, it is a marker, so you've got, you know, like this angled edge, and then you also have the fine point if you take off the other end. I really like these because I use them as highlighters, but let's see. They don't bleed through. That one is very juicy, but they don't bleed through. I use them on my Freedom boxes like every day just about. But yeah, there's no bleed. There's like a tiny bit of ghosting. I think if you were to hold that, which you wouldn't, but if you were to hold it and like go pretty, like if you were to press really hard with it like that, it may show up a bit more, but not really. Yeah. So I love these. You can use both sides, but I just think they're so much fun. And they bring so much like bold color because they have the bold and then they have like the more pastel colors. So I like to mix those up. I'm gonna set those aside really quickly because we're gonna use those in one of the Freedom boxes. This is another Tombow pen, and it's a brush pen. It does have double sides just like that midliner. So this is the brush side, and then this is more of the marker felt side, and this will be just about as pretty as this midliner because, you know, handwriting things, not a good skill of mine. Why did they make me do this? I'm just kidding. I love the color of this one though. So this one's a lot more juicy than the midliner brush. I'm going to show you a couple of these swatches. And then I'll also do the opposite side. Why did I just say midliners? Because I was reading that. This is a Tombow. It's fine, you guys. It's fine. Let's try this again. Yay. So, ooh, that's because I got it on my finger. That was from the midliner. But this guy doesn't bleed through either. I have a pack of these and it's so awful because I don't use them because I just don't know how to do pretty handwriting. Someone teach me. And then these are also super fun to plan with. I'm sure you've used them a ton. These are the Crayola Super Tips. So these are great for highlighting. That's what I use them for. You can also, you know, decorate your planner around like the Freedom boxes to make them colorful, whatever you want to do. But I have like the, what is it, like the 50 pack. It's awful. You can never have enough pens and markers. Am I right? Am I right? Okay, that doesn't bleed through either. So for the most part, again, this paper, it's an 80-pound bright white. It's thick. And the only pens, at least that I have tested on this, that have bled through are these Sharpies, because Sharpies bleed through literally everything. But otherwise, all of the pens that we tested did not bleed through. Let me show you. I'm gonna flip back in this guy to maybe like sometime back in April. So what I usually do with my daily layouts is I use these midliners and I'll highlight. I actually don't use a ruler for this. I just like don't have the patience to get my ruler out. But I will highlight like this top box to make it colorful for the day. That one's very juicy. It's like brand spanking new. Super juicy. I mean, not bad for not using a ruler. At least I can somewhat draw in a straight line, but I don't have pretty handwriting. But they don't bleed through. So you can do lots of fun stuff with that. And again, like I was saying with the Crayolas, I've seen a lot of people do this where they'll outline their Freedom boxes with colors. I mean, they're probably not going to do it with these, with like a black color. I'll just show you on a couple. That's an awful line. See, I jinxed myself. But it doesn't bleed through. I mean, obviously it didn't bleed through on these back pages. It's not going to bleed through here. But I just like to show you where you can bring in some color to your spreads with a lot of these fun guys. So yeah, I mean, that's the pen test. I know I went super duper fast. But again, nothing's really going to bleed through this unless you're using a Sharpie. We can certainly do another one of these if there's a specific pen you want us to test. But yeah, just know most felt markers, especially anything that's a Sharpie, will bleed through. Everything else should be okay. You might experience a little bit of smudging with the gels just because of, you know, they take a second to dry, especially this Papermate. Which one was that? That's the Papermate Profile. I'm gonna write this in here so people have it. But there you go. So yay. And just so you know, this is my first pen test I've ever done ever. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right, bye-bye.